Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm putting my headphones in.
Okay.
Make sure my door. Sorry, I have you sitting on my stage table because I can guarantee quietness.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. How is my volume?
It's pretty good.
Okay. Because it was kind of goofing. I've never done this before like this. And so it was saying it couldn't pick my audio up for a second, but then I clicked a different button. And so hopefully this will be fine. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a little like echoey,
but
it's not, it just sounds like you're in a big room.
Yeah, I am in a bit, kind of a big room. Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Hi.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Good. So this automatically starts recording after it saves it and I go back in, I'll edit out the beginning part or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. That's nice to meet you. I'm Benji.
Nice to meet you too. Nice to meet you too.
Yellowbird Food Shed.
I know, that's so crazy.
So yeah.
It's like these Instagram accounts, you really don't know you don't really, some like mine, I have personal and like on yours, you do have a little bit, but.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a personal one. So anything that I do post that's like just personal, it just gets mixed in with the, all the professional stuff, which, some people like. It seems like, that
it's imperative.
Yeah.
It's imperative to show, in 2020, it's so imperative for you to show a piece of your life. People are looking to believe in companies. They want to see that makes a difference. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So,
yeah.
I had to get that. Like, I would show me, but I didn't used to be as transparent. And we can talk about this whenever, but I didn't used to be transparent on Instagram for many reasons. And then I start really realizing and learning about personal branding and where we are now in 2020.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of it is the influencer model. We don't want to think about it, but it is.
Sure.
Like, we have to show like some behind the scenes or some type of personal, because there's so many options. So people have so many different places to spend their money. You have to like wheel them in multiple ways,
Sure. Well, and I think the transparency part of it is, that especially in our industry with food being so typically the food system being so non-transparent, what's actually happening behind the curtain, to pull the curtain back and say, hey, this is what's going on and this is what we're doing different and this is why we're doing it different and whatever. That seems to be what's resonating with people where, I say all the time, like I can only show you the door. I can't make you walk through it. And, people are wanting to walk through, but until now, it seems like we just haven't known if there was another option or we were just so comfortable that we weren't willing to make the choice. And because everything's been upheaval so much, it's like everyone's doing things different now. I mean, people are making personal, responsible choices that maybe they didn't have the guts to make before, maybe either because they're forced into it but maybe just because it's like, well, everything else is crazy. I might as well, whatever.
Well, I feel like with the age of the internet, it's just like, so many things. We have the access to know so many things at this point.
Right. That's exactly right. You
You
can't
know what I
hide
mean?
anymore. Yep.
Yeah, and it's at our fingertips. And I feel like when it comes to companies, brands, businesses, I feel like now, even for me with my consumer dollar, that I totally spend my money with people who believe, or I have some type of, like if I go to, let's just say I go to the toothpaste aisle, because there's 30 types of toothpaste,
sure.
more than 30, literally.
Yeah.
You go to where you resonate with or something. Yeah. Like I like Nike because Nike always is transparent about the people that they sponsor, that, you know what I mean? They show their lives and they're transparent. I love Nike's brand for that. So I support Nike.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I've taught, yeah, go ahead.
I just feel like people are like that. People naturally go towards something that they have some type of either belief system, or they like the way they look. I don't care what it is, but it's something.
Yeah. I've taught a marketing class before and was talking about how with the Yellowbird, we couldn't just build a business on food. We had to create a community. And I use Nike as an example. I'm like, when you watch a Nike commercial, you see the alarm go off at 5:30 and somebody gets up out of bed, and it's just as hard for them as it is for us. They throw on their shoes and their shorts, they get outside and they run in the dark, and then they come back, and I'm like, why are you, they're not even selling you a shoe anymore. When I was young, it was like, this is Mars Blackman with the Air Jordan and the thing and the thing. It's not even about a certain thing. It's a product. It's about the brand of Nike and the feeling like, and I tell every one of the kids sitting in class, I'm like, listen, I've got Nike stuff. I don't look like those people in those commercials, but in my mind, I think I could get there.
I got my Jordans on.
I could get there. Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? I mean, this is all good stuff. Certainly going to make,
I know.
Put it in, but just introduce yourself, and who you like, what your company is, what you do, and you don't have to go too deep. Just, who are you? What is it that you do?
So my name is Janese Boston, also known as Chef JBoston, Snooty Foodie on Instagram. Mm-hmm. I am the owner of Living Proof Chef Service, LLC, here in Columbus. I am a private chef, and my niche market is totally luxury dining experience in home or at a venue, meaning I come into your home or your Airbnb or your boat or your cabin, wherever you're gonna, or your lake, or some people like to set up different places, and I create a dining experience for you, hassle-free. You literally don't have to do anything except tell me what you don't like or what you're allergic to. I decorate, I make sure there's fresh flowers, I customize the menu, I customize the meal. Like I literally make it a customized experience for every single individual. So yeah, that's my business, and that's what I do, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. What's interesting is of course, like you were saying, we follow each other on Instagram. I see what you're doing. Pretty cool stuff. Love the pics, love the transparency. Well, then I see a post this last weekend that said something to the effect of something about when I was pregnant, I got shot and lived to tell the story. I believe that it was God that saved me. You can call it whatever you want. I'm usually kind of reserved about how I talk about this, but just wanted to put it out there. And so to me, who is just, I mean, I love the story. I love the conversation. I love the life transformations and it doesn't have to be about food. It can be. But I see that, I reach out to you, hey, let's jump on a call. Of course, I've never done this before through Zoom. So I'm like, this would be a fun, I need to learn how to do this anyways. And so let's back up from where you are now and kind of retell the story about how you got to where you are. And somewhere along the way, I want to hit that Instagram post. I want the story of what happened when you were pregnant, but back up as far as you want into little girlhood, little Chef JBoston hood, and tell me about like, well, I was always interested in food, or my mom taught me to cook, or whatever that origin story is that got you like, okay, this is where my skill set is and where my passion is. How can I marry these two together?
Okay, so I just want to put on record, this is my first time ever giving somebody this one time collectively. So, and it's cool because I've been asking for it. Like with God, I just been asking for it. So Janese Boston, I am originally from a small town in Stuebenville, Ohio, which is kind of on the border of Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. I was born, my mom and dad my mom was extremely young when she had me. They were on drugs. So my grandma kind of was my rock. My mom's mom was kind of who raised me. Her and her husband is who I majority was raised by. I was definitely brought up in the projects. I am definitely a product of Stuebenville, Ohio, South End projects. My grandma, she still lives there. The irony is my grandma is an extremely little white woman. And
I love that.
So so that makes it, the dynamic of my history from a childhood is interesting because I was raised by a white woman in the projects.
Wow.
So with my mom doing her thing and my dad, he passed away of cancer when I was younger. I had my other grandmother, my dad's dad was a chef all my life. She always worked for, it's a place called Franciscan University. It's a pretty popular Catholic college in Stuebenville, Ohio. People come from all over the world. And she was the cook for the monastery, the priest, all my life. Like she passed away 60 years in, she retired, like literally. So at 9 years old, there was a big event, not an event, a tragedy where my mother was stabbed 27 times, and I was right there. I was 9 years old, and I got my little brothers, two of them, out of the house. My grandmother didn't live that far, so I'm running, crying, the ground's wet, and that right there, I feel like was the beginning. It was like, I don't know, that changed everything. Because granted, things were already different for me, but that was like the first like big trauma that I experienced.
That's like a literal superhero origin story.
Yeah,
that's like Bruce Wayne.
Wow. And it's crazy because you didn't even know about this, and I haven't even really even expressed this before on social media. But I feel like from the beginning, I've always started. I came into this world maybe one less silver spoon. However, I feel like from the moment I could realize, I felt like I'm supposed to be like helping people. Even as a kid, after that happened to me and I start healing a little bit, like 11, 12, I just start feeling a way like, I got to tell people about this. Even as a child, I felt like I needed to like tell people about this. So kind of goes on. My grandma, she takes all of us into her home at that time. And
how many of you?
3. It was 3. I have me and my 2 little brothers. I have 5 brothers altogether, but I have 2 little brothers who are my mom. So we lived with my grandma. My grandma worked every day. My grandfather he was a stroke patient, which was my best friend in the whole wide world. And I stayed home with him when I wasn't at school, helping taking care of him, making his food, going to dialysis with him, you know what I mean? So I had an interesting responsibility from a young age, because now, before my mom was doing her thing, I had to help with my brothers, and then my grandma had to work, so I kind of helped too with that, with my grandfather. So I kind of was rebellious. Like naturally, I didn't have my parents really, like I really didn't have no structure. Like I wasn't brought up in the church. Like I didn't have like no type of structure, and I rebelled wholeheartedly. I rebelled. My dad died. My grandfather died. It was like, I was like, when people and kids say they have issues, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I feel you, because I feel that feeling of rebellious. Like when I talk about it, I can feel it. And I didn't have no direction, but I always knew like, I gotta get out of Stuebenville, Ohio. I have to go. Like my life is bigger than this. And I took the untraditional way of leaving Stuebenville, and I ran away. And Stuebenville used to have a bus station. And back then they didn't check IDs, and I looked grown.
Wow.
So I would go to catch a bus, get on the Greyhound bus, come to Columbus, run away. Like they would bring me back. I would run away.
What age are we talking at this point? 16?
15, easy.
Yeah.
Well, 14, 15, definitely 8th, 9th grade. 8th, 9th grade is
to have the guts to even do that. Like it was like you belonged there, hey, that's why they didn't ask any questions. It was like, yeah, she knows what she's doing. Apparently, like this is what she does. So I'll take you to Columbus.
But I was around like grown people all my life, like people who didn't per se hide, the grown adult aspect of life. They didn't hide it. So I was very exposed early on to a lot of things. I had family members that were strippers, escorts, drug dealers. Like I had been exposed to many lifestyles early on. So once I got to high school, it was just like, I didn't go to, a lot of people can't believe when I say this, but I didn't go to much school. I was always very extremely smart, but to get me, I felt like I was older than everybody. I felt like these kids are going to school with their mom and dad and they can learn. And me, like, I need to sell these drugs or because I need to get some money. You see what I'm saying? So I always felt like I was older. So I was like, I didn't have nothing in common. Like they were my friends and they knew I loved them. And like, I would go see them, but I felt like I felt like I was grown. You know what I mean? And
if you've seen what you've seen by that point and you've taken your brothers and gone and had to, do what you did to survive, school is like,
and well, at that point, when I ran from the house to my grandmother's, my grandmother assumed custody of me and my two brothers. However, when I have an aunt, she came and helped my mom so much and helped raise my youngest brother because he was the one that was a baby when it happened. So we were kind of split up, but not split up. You know what I'm saying? So when I was running away and everything, I used to always think like, dang, like, I gotta get my brothers, but I had to take care of myself. So I just kind of always checked on them back home and then ran away again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was always like that. It was a pattern. I always wanted to run away from home, but I always wanted to come back. The weirdest thing is I wanted to run away to be like better or get money or do something to come back and show it. It's crazy. The mindset.
Crazy.
So once.
Go ahead. You're hitting 14, 15, 16. You're into 16. Columbus. And at this point, you've seen your grandma for most of your life cooking for at this monastery.
Oh yeah. Oh, my other grandma. Oh my gosh. I used to literally go up there with her. My aunt used to take, like my aunt from my dad's side would come and get me from my mom's side. And I would go spend time with them and stuff. She would take me up there. I would spend some hours with my grandmother. The priest loved her so much. We call her Granny. She is like every priest. They have a park for her at Franciscan University. She was like the epitome of like a cook. She never went to culinary school. She never she just needed it. Like she had some kids and she needed to take care of them. Her husband died and she took this job and ran with it and was a cook. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So it's so irony. I don't remember like peeling potatoes with my grandma or her sharing these. I don't remember that though. I just have this, she showed me that somebody can take the culinary field. And I didn't even know what that even meant. She was a cook in my eyes back then. And she worked hard and these people loved her and she fed everybody. That's all I knew. Every day. Like she had to work on holidays. Like when it was Christmas, we would literally wait till 7 when she got off and go over because she had to work holidays because the priest had to eat. Sure. It was crazy. Wow. So so my granny was definitely a motivating factor. However, that's really not how I came to cooking. Honestly, I really became to cooking because as a child, like I said, I didn't go to school. And I found myself in trouble and I went to prison.
Uh-huh.
And once I went to prison, it changed me wholeheartedly. Granted, they don't have the system in place to make you a successful reentry, like, citizen.
Yeah.
However, something spiritually, mentally, emotionally changed when I was in there. I went through a crazy transformation. Like, I used to be like turned up, like so like ready on go all the time. And then when I came home, like, my whole demeanor was different. Like, I had already had a kid. Let's back it up.
Sure.
We skipped me getting shot. I forgot about that.
Drop us in that scenario.
Yeah, so I was living out of town, kind of running around wild, New York, Philadelphia, Columbus with my best friend. And I visited home back in Stuebenville for a party in November. And I stayed. And my guy at the time, who I was seeing, we went out. I thought I was pregnant, but I didn't know. But we went out to a club one night. I couldn't go. When we get there, something ID, I really wasn't 21 yet. I was only 19. So when we get there, my friends, they bring me home. I get a knock at the door. They knock. I go to open up the door and immediately felt the weight of the person on the other side of the door trying to push me in. As that was happening, they stuck the gun in and shot me. And I was shot in my template plate on the right side.
Oh my gosh.
God was so good to me so many times that when I tell you I did not go unconscious, I called my son's father. I was screaming, but I didn't think he heard me. Then I called somebody else, then I called 911. The 911 got there. And like, I was up. Mind you, I had blood squirting.
Yes, right, of course.
From my head because I was panicking, but I felt like, I don't know, maybe the adrenaline was keeping me awake. So I get to the hospital. I tell them I think I'm pregnant. They come back. I am pregnant. And that's how I found out that I was going to have a baby. Well, I have a bullet in my head and a baby in my stomach. Boom. Like, that was...
That's the title of this episode.
And that was an interesting place for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like...
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but yes, I can imagine.
It was just like...
I mean, are you having some sort of... like the God encounter there, like where you're being spoken to, like, hey, this is the moment that we're turning this thing around? Or
no.
Is it, okay.
A different spark. Like, I was angry, like I was crying because I'm a mom. Hold on, I got to register all this stuff. Like, I'm a mom. Hold on, because I've been living this wild life. So I'm about to be a mom. But also, what is happening to me? Like, I got shot, clearly. Like, oh my gosh, I got shot, in my head. Like, that is like, so in the moments, it's a jumble. Yeah. You know what I mean? Honestly, I was angry. Wow. I was extremely angry. Yeah. I gave it to God. God kept me through. That was never not my story. That was never not my testimony. But I was angry and I was protective. At that point, I had a son. Oh, I didn't know it was a son then, but I had a baby in me. And I felt like I had grew up feeling like, even though my mom, she may have not have felt like this, but I was feeling like nobody protected me. So sorry, I get emotional.
That's fine. There's a lot to be emotional about.
From the beginning.
I'm not going anywhere. You can take as long as you need.
Okay. When it comes to my kids, man.
Right.
I felt so protective day one. Like, and then how prison came about is I found out I'm pregnant. I get out the hospital. Now I'm pregnant with this guy's baby. Yeah, he's a player around town. And there's some people that wasn't happy that I was pregnant. And there was a situation with a girl, and I felt like wholeheartedly that she had every intention of hurting my child. And I shot her one day. I went to someone's house. I went to his house and knocked on the door. She came to the door. It was a whole argument. I was on the porch the entire time. Once she hit me, I shot her. And I don't know, like, talking about it now, it's so crazy because I haven't really like talked about it in a while, but I don't know who I am today wholeheartedly. If I felt like somebody was going to harm my kid, absolutely. But hindsight, I make way better decisions now.
Right.
Because now if I was pregnant, I wouldn't have been walking over this dude's house knowing that there was a chance of a problem. Like, it probably wouldn't have happened like that because I make way different decisions. Like that. You know what I'm saying? But I've also been to prison and everything else since then too. So I'm kind of scared straight. I try not to put myself in situations where I have to go give the institution any more of my life. So looking back, I don't know if I would have put up for a lot of the things that led up to that before it had got there. But wholeheartedly, I'm always going to protect my kids. Yeah. So, you know, I feel like God was just like, God was allowing these things to happen because I was tough and I was hard-headed. I was stubborn and I was just rebellious. And maybe all them other things was supposed to chill me out, me having the baby, well, when I got in trouble, I went off to prison. My baby was 30 days old, less than 30 days old. I had him on September 4th, and I went to prison on September 30th.
And the prison was because of shooting this gal. Yes. And so now, go ahead.
But now, like, people don't realize, like, I tell my kid, I tell everybody, do what you got to do. Don't become a felon. Get a gun license, get you a gun, protect yourself, protect your family the legal way. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And then you don't have to worry about it because now I'm my age, I'm a convicted felon. I can't properly have a firearm. I can't legally have a firearm, protect my family because of a mistake I made back when I was 19.
How are you now?
So, you know, I'm 30, I'll be 37 in November.
Okay.
So but I wasn't worried about none of that. At the moment, when you're young, you do things and you just...
I mean, we're all doing stupid stuff. I can identify with being younger and stupid. Of course, I didn't have the same upbringing you did. And
I just felt anger I just felt the need to, but once I got shot and once I went to prison, leaving my baby like that definitely was a hard pill to swallow because I had left my baby. Yeah. And I didn't know, like, I never been to jail before. I didn't know. I had no idea what was to come.
What's the sentence on the front end? What are they saying? It's 100 years. It's 10 years. It's like, what are you thinking you're going away for?
Well, at first it was like 2 to 8 years.
Okay.
But then I got 5 years. I got 2 years, the minimum, and a 3-year gun specification because I had, like, if you do a crime with a gun, you can get a gun specification. So that's what I had. Because my 2 years were mandatory, my 3 years was mandatory. I couldn't even file for early release until after 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So when I went to jail, I patiently waited and tried to survive and stay out of trouble for 3.5 years, so I can file to get out for my kid.
Okay, so let me catch up here. This is an intense story. You've now, all the stuff that started it, you saw your mom murdered.
No, by God's grace, my mom is
she
still
survives
alive.
at 27.
And she is stabbing, paralyzed. Wow. She can't use one of her arms, can't see out of her eyes. She just had a heart attack, had a stroke. She can't talk anymore. But God is really, 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 really saving her. Like she is my, like they say, who is your hero? My mom.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Understandably. I mean,
yeah.
you know, and so, okay. So you do that, you have your upbringing, you're not going to school because you're, you know, probably, you know, too smart for that. You've lived through too much stuff before, you know, and not in a bad way, not like in an arrogant way, just that, you know, what are you going to do? Go to school after that? You know, I didn't go to school and I didn't have any of that. You know, I was playing basketball and skipping class because I'd rather be, you know, out eating Pizza Hut or whatever. You know, it's like Jiminy Christmas. So now you have lived through all that you've lived through, and I mean, you don't have to give me the details, but in all that time, are you feeling called? Like, you know, God, you're feeling called by God. You have some sort of a call in your life, and you're rejecting it, or you're just like, how does that all flow together?
Oh no, I knew. I always like. There was something like, I didn't know how, but I knew, like, and people kept, you know how I knew is because of people. People made me aware of my own alignment, because that's what everybody would like, you've been through so much, or like, ever since I've been younger, like teachers, people that I should have graduated with. I remember like, going back to my high school graduation, they graduated. I didn't, but they were all my friends. I wasn't going to go because, so I showed up too. Hey, party. And they're crying like, you should be here. I'm like, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm right.
So like, oh God. So yeah, I just,
so
I
you
always
definitely,
felt,
connected.
But I wasn't raised with God though.
Right.
Okay. It was something to do little by little. Like, I'm from the project. So every now and then there would be this bus that came to the projects and picked up some kids and took it to some Catholic or Christian church out in the country. Like that was the most, just to get out the projects, I would get on the bus and go with these people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would go to like the churches up the street. You can like walk to some churches. I would go there every now and then but my parent, like nobody, my grandmother and them wasn't like that.
Gotcha.
But like when I went to prison though.
Yeah. So now we're there. So now you're going off but you're thinking 5 years.
5 years.
You have a 30-day-old baby.
Yep.
And so how do you, at that point, what are the arrangements you've made? Because obviously you're super protective. You know, it's like, hey, this is my baby. Who am I going to leave this with? How's this going to go down? What
the
did
crazy
you do on
thing
the front end?
It was a no-brainer. Like there's a woman, she is my aunt, she's my dad's sister, and her name is LaTanya, and she helped raise me when I was trying to be bad and my grandma couldn't handle me. I was living with her. That was the most structure as a teenager that I've ever had, is when I lived with her. But she was a good mom, and like I've always, like when I came back in town, that kind of always was my, you know what I mean? She was like my other mom. She was like my other mom. Yeah. So like, I immediately, like, I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew that there was nobody in the whole world that I knew where I needed my baby to go.
Yeah.
And I just was so blessed that not only she accepted it and was willing to do it, that she had a lot of support, and a lot of people supported her, because she worked at the jail. She was a correctional officer at the county jail. Okay. So they worked 12-hour shifts.
Yep.
So she had support because people knew the situation. And I appreciate it wholeheartedly, because it took a little community. When you talked about community before, that's what she had to help her. And so when I was in prison, of course, I'm thinking, I got a baby out there, but I'm in prison now. Oh God, like how does one do prison? Because I've never done this before.
Unbelievable.
And it was just like my regular life. Of course, I have to try everything. My jail time. It also did a interesting transformation. When I was going in, I was quiet. About a few months later, the people, they talk so ignorant to you. It's ridiculous. The COs and stuff in there, they will talk so ignorant to you. And me coming from the street, kind of being kind of wild, I'm like, you ain't da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's consequences to all of that.
Sure.
You can't just get smart with them. They can do it to you, though. They can talk filthy to you, but you can't say nothing back, because your little bit of freedom. Structure. man, it's horrible.
Right.
So I kind of went through, like, they consider me a juvenile when I was, because I wasn't 21 yet.
Oh, okay.
So even though I went to
Do
a
you feel like, I mean,
women's
is that a lighter
prison,
sentence because you weren't 21?
oh, no, I didn't get charged as a juvenile.
Oh,
I'm
gotcha.
saying once you get in the
Oh,
prison system,
that's when they
they
start
keep you
treating you like
separate
that. Okay.
in the same prison, but they kind of like had Marysville, they had like a building for the people who were under 21 and then everybody else.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of where I was at.
Okay.
We were talking about God, and in there, you know, everybody finds God in jail and da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, I had already had a sense of some God. I'm like, duh, God ain't take me through all this for nothing. I don't know who he is, what he is. So they have programs. They have stuff there that a weekend outside third party will come in and have some type of seminar. And the people who sign up, you can go and eat outside food.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed up to go to this thing only to eat outside food and get cookies, home-baked cookies.
Sure.
Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
jumping on the
And
bus to get out of
and
Stuebenville. Like, okay,
yeah, yes.
I don't care where you're going. I'm in.
Absolutely. So I signed up for this thing. It was called Epiphany.
Okay.
It was like a 3-day event over in this other building. You go there every day, all day. But it was about God.
Uh-huh.
And they had you do exercises. And I never forget the most memorable moment of that. They had you write down things on a piece of paper that you wanted to heal from, people that you wanted to forgive, and things you wanted to heal from. And they had a big cross outside, a big wooden cross, and all these nails in it. And we put it all them on there. Mm-hmm. And it was, and I remember the guy that did that to my mom, mm-hmm. the guy that shot me getting shot. Like I had a lot of papers. I remember thinking to myself, like, I remember raising my hand, like,
yeah, I need another pad of paper.
More?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I have a few more? Because I was being real. Like, I'm always being real to myself. Sure. So I'm like, oh, I got a bunch of stuff to put on here. But when they lit that on fire, I cried as if God was like that was my first time feeling like there should have been background music, light shining from the ceiling. You know what I mean? Like I felt like, holy crap. And ever since then, I ain't never played around. I read the whole Bible, was going to Bible school, Bible study, praise, dancing, and everything else.
After that weekend, you go back into whatever you would call it, your group
the
of
regular,
people, the normal prison. And you've had this transformation moment beyond anything you'd ever experienced on that. And then what? Now you still have to do time.
Well, I'm going to keep it real. Like, I'm a survivor first. So like God, I've always been like this. I'm not perfect. I don't believe in nobody that believes in the perfect situation. So like me and my God and my perception of the whole God situation in itself has always been a little independent. You know what I'm saying? Like I had independent beliefs because I felt like I still got to do what I got to do. As long as I ain't intentionally hurt nobody, or like God knows my heart. Once they told me that God knows my heart, I felt like I was safe because I know that he knew that I might not needed to do this, but my intentions, I have to do it, but my heart, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, I do.
What do you do?
Sure.
So like, I don't know, like, but I still didn't get dedicated to like a church or anything at that point. It's just at that point I knew like, oh yeah. So then I get released from jail. I get my let's back it up. It's coming my 3-year mark. I have 6 months and then I can file. I find a girl hanging in the shower.
Oh my gosh.
I get her, like, hold her body up so the tension isn't on her neck. Screaming, getting help. The people are coming. Da, 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 da. I ultimately played a huge part in saving that girl's life, and that was like, whoa. Mind you, I'm about to get out. I'm like, oh, so I got the people from the warden, the people from Columbus, Ohio Reformatory for like women, that's what they call it. All the big wigs, white shirts coming, like, you know, mind you, I wasn't at ORW. I'm lying. I was at Trumbull. Okay. They opened up a new prison, and I went to a new prison.
Okay.
And I was there, and all the big wigs was coming down like, thank you, thank you. I had filed for my judicial release, which was you had to be on good behavior to get that.
Yeah.
And they brought me back. And I remember walking into the courtroom like, dang, this is the moment of time. Like, I had some family members there. My grandma was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, the prosecutor was not the prosecutor that was there when I got in trouble. So they ain't really know me. So they're like, oh, this, and this. The judge was like, no, I've known the judge since I've been little, because my judge was also the assistant prosecutor when my mom got stabbed when I was younger.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So when I was 9, the assistant prosecutor, I was the witness to that crime. The assistant prosecutor had to prep me for stand.
Yeah.
He's now a judge, and I'm grown, and I'm getting in trouble, and he's my judge.
Yeah. You do see the parallels between your story and a story like Joseph from, you know, the Old Testament.
I know.
Here's a boy sold into slavery, rises up, you know, like there's people in place along the way that this is incredible. I mean, I don't know how, I mean, the things you've said, 4 things that if any one of those things happen to anybody, it could be a game changer for the worse. I mean, you would never recover from it.
Well, I mean, I don't, like, every day is a journey. I still got a lot of baggage. I still got
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still recovering. But, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like once I came out of jail, they let me out of jail.
So that judge, was he the one that granted you whatever you needed to be able to get release?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they had also heard from the warden that I had also, because they put me on stand to talk. Like, I had my 5 seconds of fame to say and they was like, well, and they brought it up, and I had to kind of tell the people that was there what had happened, and I helped the girl or whatever. Yeah. But when I came home, mind you, I have a son now, a toddler, a whole toddler.
Yeah.
Like, I go from like a newborn baby to like, I have this kid. So believe it or not, I got pregnant again.
Oh, wow.
As soon as I only had 1 monthly situation. I got pregnant so fast.
Wow.
So now I'm like, oh gosh, now I'm reentry. Yeah. I don't really got no education. Granted, I did some college when I was in prison. I got my GED when I was in prison, but I didn't have no work history. Yep. So I'm lying on applications saying that I worked in, like, taking the job that I had in jail and spicing it up on paper. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and making it seem like a job, because there's where I'm from, there's not a lot of reentry. There was nothing set in place for me to be a successful. So what I'm supposed to do?
Well, and I don't know anything about that world, but statistically, what happens to a person like you in that situation? They
go back and do the same thing that they was doing before. Right. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? There's people who don't, but the statistics show that recidivism is extremely high. I've been blessed because it was my first and only time in jail.
Wow.
But I have control issues. Them telling me what to do and talking to me any type of way, and I couldn't talk like that back. Yeah. That itself was enough. Like, I couldn't take it. So when I came home, it was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do I do? So I started going to college, and I didn't know. I was like, all right, I'm going to go for communications, because I felt like I could talk. I was like, I can be like a journalist or something.
That's what we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be. Let's do communications. That sounds good.
It's like, oh yeah, you can't be a broadcast journalist. You have to change the way you talk. You say like and too much. I said, oh, I don't want to be that then. Well, just do like regular communications, just regular, you know? So I still didn't know what I was going to do. But they gave me, but the reality of it is they gave me a check at the beginning, I can't remember, the beginning of the semester, they would give you a grant that you would buy your books from it, and whatever was left, you would get a refund check.
Yeah.
And coming out of prison, I didn't have a job. I was living with my aunt and I got a kid. I was kind of using them refund checks to support myself.
Sure.
So I have a baby. My friend calls me, hey girl, I work this job and I make a lot of money. This is my cousin, actually. She's like, I make a lot of money and it's legal. I'm like, whoa, legal.
The 3 check boxes.
Listen, I'm like, nah. She's like, I think you would be so good at it, girl. And I'm thinking like, me too. Shoot, if it make that much, I feel like I'd be good at it.
Yeah.
So it was a strip club. Ain't that crazy?
Yes.
And I was just like, dang, but I can make this money. Hold on, I don't got to ride. This is what I tell her. Hold on, I think I could do that. She's saying I'm making $800 in a day, and me coming home, I'm not making no money, and I'm living for free. And I'm like, $800 in one. Girl, hold on, I don't got to ride. Oh, my boss, she comes gets me. She'll come and get you and drop you off. Holy crap.
Wow.
So this is legal. I got to ride. Not saying God wanted me to do this. Yeah. However, I started, got myself together because I was able clearly just to make the money.
Yeah.
So got myself together, raised my kids. My kids are great. I did that for a long time. But I was always the type of person, I really kept it extremely separate from my life. I never do it where I was from. I wasn't into like, don't video me, like people pull phones. Like I was always like very particular of how I carried it. I felt like I lived a double life, honestly. During the day, I was at PTO, I was at all my kids, everything. I volunteered, did this and this and this. And then at night, I just went to work. But
you also are carrying on some kind of a relationship with the divine at this point. You've had this experience in prison.
Oh, man.
Now you're out. Are you reading the Bible? Are you going to a church? Or what are you doing?
At first, no. Okay. At first, it was about survival. Like,
yeah, absolutely. At that
me,
line, that is exactly the line. At first, it's about survival. That's what I think we divorce from all of spirituality.
Yeah, at first, it's like, you got to use what you got to get in the door. I feel like God, everything that I have been through, God used it as a learning experience wholeheartedly.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I was a dancer. I start feeling like a hypocrite. This is God's honest truth.
Okay.
Like I got involved in the church. Mm-hmm. This is how, like, let me back it up. Let me say how I got into cooking.
Yep.
So I was dancing. I'm like, I got to do something else. That first degree, it ain't doing nothing. Man, what do I love? What can I'm already a foodie, want to go to all the restaurants. I'm already like that anyway. So I'm like, what can I do that I can start investing my daytime in to make a career or a business for my kids? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so I'm like, boom. So that day, I called the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. They give me this lady. I forget her name. Oh, God bless her soul. I forget her name. We stayed on the phone for an hour and a half, told her probably my whole life story. She was crying. I was crying. We was praying. It was one of them conversations. And I got into the Art Institute, and it was just like everything. I knew at that moment that this was my platform for something else when everything started lining up for me, literally. Like everything, like experiences, working with chefs that was already celebrity chefs, traveling. I was still in culinary school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was cooking for an NFL player at the end of my degree. And I remember not even knowing how much to charge because I had never did it. But I was
okay. So you're in Pittsburgh.
Well, I'm in Weir in West Virginia. That's where I'm from, but Pittsburgh is 45 minutes away.
Okay.
It's the nearest city. It's like,
gotcha.
So sure. I would go, that's where like you eat, dress, shop, club, everything is, because that's the city, you know?
Okay. So you have a home life. You still have your kids at your home and doing all that, whatever, but you're going to school in Pittsburgh. And now you're you're all of a sudden in a circle with NFL players and thinking, well, what do what's the next step?
But it was crazy for me because I was in an interesting point. I was in school, but I was also still working in the club.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't know whether I didn't know I wanted to separate it. I remember the first time I seen my client, and I knew I had to stop doing this. My heart, like I kept feeling this feeling.
Yep.
Like I started to get embarrassed. I never felt embarrassed. I always felt justified. Like, this is what I do. This is da-da-da. Yeah. I start feeling better than that. Like that, like, and not like better than the people, because we all use whatever we use to get by.
Yeah.
But I start feeling like it was my time I'm better than this, period. Like, that's how I felt. Once I seen my client in the club and I walked up to him and I was like, look, remember I said I had another life? Like, this is what it is. And you know what he said back? He said, I already knew.
Oh my
He said, I just didn't say anything because you wanted to keep a secret. It didn't change the fact that you can cook. And I was like, oh, this is my dude. I was like, yes. Because it gave me like a sense of like, okay, people are not how I think people are.
Wow.
And I went about my business. I never went on that side of the club the whole night because it still was a weird thing for me.
Yeah.
And but moving forward, so I'm working, I go to school, I graduate. I had to stop working in the club because my school, I had night classes at the end. So I couldn't be there at the time that they needed me to, like, it's like a schedule and stuff, you know, at the club. So I couldn't be there. So I had to stop. So I was working at, I was going to school and I graduated school. And it was just like, even at that point, I knew then, I was like, didn't want a restaurant. No, everyone's like, you should get a restaurant. You should get a restaurant. I'm like, nope. I never wanted a restaurant. I always wanted to like do stuff in people's houses and not invade their space, but take their space over and make it a memory, you know? And then once I went on a boat and did it in the cabin, and I was like, oh yeah, I never want a restaurant. I'm making these people smile and they're like own element. Like, I never want to go back. And then, I started getting heavy in the church. I'm doing cooking classes for kids. I'm doing summer Bible school. And I'm going to work at night, shaking my butt. Man, I'm telling you what, I felt like a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I done got baptized. Oh, I felt like a hypocrite. So one day, I would go to work and be angry there. That's how I knew it was time, because God was not making that comfortable for me anymore.
Yeah.
And I stopped, literally.
Wow.
Because I couldn't take it anymore. Like, I like to feel a certain feeling of, you know, actualization, like feel good. Like, whatever I do, I want to feel like I can justify it or I can defend it. But once I don't feel like that, I can't do it. And I know it was God. At that moment, I literally was crying. Like, I hated that place. Once I started getting into the church super heavy, I hated that place. But it was making me money that I can give on Sunday for my tithes. I don't know. In my mind, it was a struggle, but I knew if I didn't stop, it was going to be forever a hold on me. I never got into drugs. I never got swept under. I'm not a drinker.
Yeah.
So like, I was so blessed to see that lane, get in it, use it for what it is. I traveled with my kids. I was available every day, all day, as far as the daytime. But when it was time for that chapter to be closed, it was time for that chapter to be closed. You know what I'm saying? And I moved here actually shortly after to Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
And that's that. And I was like, it's interesting because it's a different type of city. Pittsburgh is different than Columbus. And I didn't realize what I was getting myself into when I said I was moving to a new town and having a business in a new town. Like, that's a whole. Yeah, so here I am in Columbus.
You spent all that time over there establishing clients, and you've got the word of mouth, and you've got repeat customers, and you've got all that. What was in Columbus that you were like, I've gotta go there?
I have a son. He is 16 right now. He's about to be 17. And I knew I needed to leave. That place back home has a very negative pull on the younger crowd. And I knew that I needed to make a change for my kid, for my son. He's a young Black boy. You know what I'm saying? He has his own feelings. He lost his brother to gun violence. You know, gun violence back at home is a big problem, being that it's such a small town. A young lady just lost her life the other day. She was innocent, 24, went to college, worked her way through college, just got accepted to law school, and random bullets killed her.
So this is unbelievable.
This is Stuebenville, Ohio. So then a few years ago, I'm thinking like, I already know what I got myself into there. I know what it has to offer there. It didn't matter if we didn't live in Stuebenville because we lived in Weirton, which was across the bridge. It didn't matter. I knew I needed to go. That's just what I needed to go. And if I had to sacrifice starting all over and figuring out a way, then I knew I needed to do it, because at the end of the day, I had to protect my son. First and foremost, my kids are, not saying I don't have to protect my daughter, but at the moment, I knew I needed to change his atmosphere to facilitate for him to be the best version of himself. So
in this moment in time, in this like environment that we're in, and I'm going to risk sounding dumb here as a white male. You know, I, of course, with I think you and I have similar hearts, probably because, you know, we follow similar direction, or are pulled by the same divine energy. So somebody like me that, you know, lives in Mount Vernon, Ohio, you know, married, has 4 kids, but it's safe here for the most part. I mean, something could happen. Obviously, anything could happen. Gun violence is not real for me. Being Black, of course, is not real for me. I'm not Black, but certainly here, like, you know, for anybody that has a voice that articulates this, would say exactly what you just said, which is, I've got a Black son that I'm afraid for these reasons. And of course, right now it's a lot about police, and, you know, if he gets pulled over, it's a dangerous situation. He could be killed. I've got to train him and tell him how to react in those situations.
I also have to protect him and prepare him for his peers as well, because as much as we have, I have the issues I'm battling, trying to protect him against the police, I also have to protect him against the same people that share the same blood as us. So I'm fighting 2 battles, because I'm fighting the police battle. He's a Black young kid, and I'm also fighting the streets, because I want my baby safe from the streets and the police.
And because you know what's on the streets, you've been on the streets. It's not like,
and I've been involved with the police, so you know, I've been on both ends of the pistol. So I've been shot, and I shot somebody, and at the end of the day, you know, for what? Like I don't have the authority. Who told me that I had the audacity or the authority to try, even if I was defending my child? I still struggle with, it's not my place to take somebody else's place. Granted, I don't feel like I was meaning to kill her, because I felt like in the heat of the moment, if I wanted to really kill her, I probably would have kept shooting. But still though, like, accidents happen. She could have passed away. Like, who gives me, like, that's God's job to take people away, you know? And it's not our job. And these people are shooting, and my son, you know, he got me. Me and his dad are not together. His dad is married. His dad is a minister now. He has people who love him and facilitate him, and we are wanting the best for him. At the end of the day, when you're a teenager, and I know this from personal experience,
I know where you're going.
You don't want to hear nothing that nobody got to say. You got to live your own life, and you got to bump your own head. My thing is this: my son is going to bump his head, but I'm not going to leave him. I'm not going to live in Stuebenville so he could bump his head and fall and not get up. You see what I'm saying? So I come to Columbus, and here we are. They were not too proud. They were not too enthused about moving to Columbus, but I knew it was hurting me that they were so upset. But I knew as a mom, I had to just eat all of that hurt up and their rebellion towards me because I knew I had to make some type of decision. It might not have been the best. It might not even been the best decision, but I needed to do something.
Yes.
Like staying there was doing nothing for me. Business wise. Like I really wasn't gonna like grow things. The last 2 years have been phenomenal for me in Columbus. You know what I'm saying?
So here's a weird thing that crossed my mind when you were talking about when you had the urge to not have a restaurant. I look at that now and I think that was the biggest advantage that you ever could have made for yourself with this current climate is, hey, it's not about a restaurant for me. It's what, you know, I'm going to cultivate this atmosphere for the client around food and memory and connecting and all these different things. Well, what are we hurting for right now? Community, connecting, loving, being in people's presence because we have to be separated.
Cooking classes and stuff like that. That's where my passion is at. Like, I really believe that God put this in my heart to be a chef, not to stay a chef.
Really? So where are you headed?
I think this is just, I think, I don't know. I go where I feel like my alignment. Like I feel like I love being a chef. I'm never going to stop being into food, but I feel like my calling is way bigger. I feel like I'm supposed to be talking to people. I feel like I'm supposed to be motivating. I do really well with kids for some reason. Crazy, because I do not want no more kids, but I do really well with other people's kids and even instruction. I used to work at Young Chefs Academy where they have cooking classes, and I had a little class there. I loved, and I brought my daughter to class. She was like, "Mom, you're really good with kids." I'm thinking, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't want to work with just any kid. Like, I always wanted to be about family, about like being better. Like, if you're in trouble or like you don't got to stay there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the chef thing is just the platform for God's the bigger purpose for me. I haven't figured out how to traditionally tell my story, be a motivational speaker, you know, however, I'm just gonna use what I got, do it how I know. So you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like people are the people that are in my inbox every day. Sometimes I make it through the day because of them, you know, because I feel like they hold me accountable. Like they're rooting me on. They're looking for me to be positive. Shoot, people inbox me and be like, I hope you have a great day. I'm sending you good energy. And I might wake up in a slump, and them people like, I'm helping them, but they don't even realize that it's reciprocated. You know what I'm saying?
Like, exactly. Because like you said in the beginning, when we were talking about the virtual world or Instagram or whatever, you know, you and I didn't know each other before this conversation, but there is a different type of community being formed than I've ever known. And it's the same thing. Yesterday, I put this little video up that my son did of this Lego stop motion thing where it was like the car goes out to the farm and gets the food, and he was kind of doing like a yellow bird, like, you know, thing. 175 photos. Anyways, who cares? It was like a dad moment. Well, I put it up on our story, and, you know, 15, 20, 25 people comment, and I'm reading him the comments and I'm saying the people's names. And he's like, well, who's that? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know them. They care enough to put a comment about your video. You know, and how this new connection is happening. And I think we would be, as much as I don't like to do a ton of screens or a ton of like, you know, be completely wrapped up in that virtual world, we would be dumb as entrepreneurs to not be tapping that community and doing the best we can for them.
I feel like it's imperative for us to be like, because I think a good entrepreneur is a person who finds an issue, fixes it, and also stays with the time. It's forever changing. We're in the food industry. Granted, traditional food is always food. However, people's value in food change like crazy. One minute you know how it's been, like 1 minute they're into this, the next minute they're into this, and it's cool. We just have to figure out how to survive
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It comes
Yeah.
back to, as a business, how do we survive? And if social media is a big part of like this day and age marketing and promotion, then unfortunately, guess what we got to do? We got to
Yeah.
be on
That's
social
exactly
media.
right. Yep.
You know
That's
what I'm
exactly
saying?
right.
Like,
So describe to me, do two things. Describe to me your business, what you do, why it's special, and then also how people can connect to that, where they find you, how they book you, whatever that looks like. Like what is it that you're cultivating, and what's some of the, like, obviously not anybody, lots of people can cook a nice meal. There's a lot of chefs, but there's something else here that you're bringing to the table that I've been on a conversation with you for an hour, and I don't want to keep you too long, but you know, if you walk in, you don't have to, let's say I hired you, I didn't even know you, and I needed you to do an event. And so you come into my house, and let's say it's Passover. You're going to cook a Passover meal for me and 4 families, whatever. You walk in, I don't know you, but because of your story, the intensity of it, the amount of experience that, you know, you've got 80 years of experience in a 37-year-old frame, and you're going to come in, and if I have any intuition at all, any connection at all to energy or what's going on in a room, you're going to be bringing in something that I wasn't ready for, in a good way, hopefully. And so tell me about it. What is it that you do, and how do you do it?
well, first of all, I just be myself.
Uh-huh.
I never not be myself. My energy is raw wherever I go.
Yep.
But again, I'm Janese Boston. I'm the owner of Living Proof Chef Service. When I say I bring an experience, like my process, when you contact me,
Uh-huh.
I take you through my process to gain information to how to curate this experience for you. So in my questionnaire, I'm asking you questions to later create this experience.
Yeah.
Upon booking me, which right now, a lot of people just email me, and then I communicate with them that way or call the number. But here soon, it'll be available back on my website booking, so it'll make things a lot easier.
Yeah.
So typically, when I come into your home to cook, I'm really not there to be the best chef. That's what makes me different. Like, I'm not there to be like, granted, I'm good, don't get it twisted, yeah. But I'm not like, that's not my, like, I'm not here to prove that I'm the best chef. No, yeah. I'm here to I want you as a person. I like memories. I'm a big person on memories because I spent almost 4 years in prison. That's the only thing I had was memories. So you know what I mean? So I'm big on that for people. So I only want to make you feel like this was the best thing. This was the best decision finding this girl. Like, that's all I care. Like, I don't care about nothing else except people having a memorable experience. Yeah. And that's what makes me different, because I bring more than just a plate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I do. Like, everything.
Oh, there's no question. Anybody who's listened to the last hour knows that you're bringing more than just a plate.
Yeah, I'm definitely bringing more than a plate. Like, even in my intake process, like, I want to see pictures of the dining and kitchen area prior, just so I can get a visual of what table setting, what type of ambiance I'm working on, so I know what to bring. Because I don't use the same table setup. I have a lot of variety of, and I love it. You know what I mean? I use fresh flowers. I always make sure they know that it's for them. A lot of times, a lot of people who book me is a surprise for somebody.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of people, like, yeah. It's an anniversary or a birthday or something. I get a lot of those. So I take my time and really try to ask the person a lot of information about the other person, so I can make it so when they come and they're surprised, there's personal things there, like, oh my gosh, you know? Yes. So yeah, so it's more, like I said, the experience. I love anniversary, birthday parties. That's why I don't do catering anymore. I don't do meal prep anymore. I completely shut them off of my services, because I just want to do what I feel peace doing. I want to do what I love to do. Yeah. And
That's
instead of
incredible.
focusing on all them other things, I'm just going to
Yep.
niche down on dinner parties. I love to do that. I love the process. I love, I don't know.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You know, there are lots of people smarter than us that have written entire books on you've got to get rid of all of the things that could distract from the one thing.
There's a book. Oh, I thought I had a book right here. It's called One Thing.
Oh,
There's a
really?
book called One Thing. And it's such a good book.
Yeah.
It's about, imagine if you know, always focused on the one thing that was priority. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just let everything go. COVID
Yeah.
helped me.
Yeah.
Catering, that was already going out the door. So
yeah.
when COVID came, I was like, eh. And
yeah.
so I was just, here I am.
So in the midst of, let's say, you know, it is a weird climate of social distancing and blah, blah, blah.
It is.
Are you still available? Like, I mean, are people still
I
booking
am.
you? Yeah.
Oh yeah, people are still booking me. And how I do it is to protect myself and to protect them. I definitely, as soon as I arrive, I do my own cleanup. The kitchen could be immaculate. But the first thing I do, I bring in I have like my totes and I have like a dolly with all my stuff in it.
Sure.
I bring it in, I leave it at the door. I do my own, I have a little cart and I have all my cleaning stuff and I do my own sanitation of the kitchen first.
Mm-hmm.
So to protect myself. And then and to protect them. And while I'm there, I pretty much, other than serving, I'm always like cleaning and making sure that and prior to me leaving, I do another full disinfectant cleanup. I mean, at this point, we can only be as safe as we know how.
Yeah.
And I really have been going. I ordered some more masks, no fog masks, so I can wear my glasses. I ordered face shields. I did a few things because I want to be comfortable too. I don't want to be in there slaving in the kitchen and can't breathe through my mask. So I bought some more comfortable situations. Good. But people are definitely booking because the whole going out to eat thing is at a weird. We're at a weird place with that. Like I have been out to eat, but I'm not gonna lie, but. It's still not the same. I don't know. It's still like, it's different.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I do. Yeah. I mean, so on the business side, you know, what if somebody had 2 people? Do you book for 2 people? What if somebody had 20? That's where I start.
Well, I usually try to keep it a little bit more intimate. I'll take about, I'll do about 2 to 15.
Yeah.
But that's probably my cap. Because once you start getting a little bit more, I like to keep it more intimate.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's and I haven't had many 15. I've had like 8 recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. Well, this is incredible. This story, I mean, of course I wasn't ready quite for all that. It's so powerful. I know, I mean, I don't think that because of your personality, you can't do anything but tell your story authentically. But I do want you to know that I hold it in, honor it, not in a commercial way, but in an intimate, like this. I'm really thankful that you just shared everything that you shared. There are so many areas of the individual steps along the way that if you and I were just sitting and were like, had unlimited time, I would just pick your brain.
And there's so much. I really and I rambled on for a while, but I really skipped over. Like there's so much more. People are like, you should get the podcast. You should write a book. And I'm just like, I probably should write a book, but there's a lot of names I got to leave out. I got to people, and it's just I don't. Well, let's
do this. Let's let this be the beginning of a friendship. And as I'll edit through this stuff. We'll put it out there. There isn't much. I don't touch up much. I just take off the beginning and the end and put the conversation out there. Yeah. But as you see it, of course, you'll have links you can send to all of your followers and all that kind of stuff. I'll send to you. The areas that you didn't go into that you want to go into, we'll circle back and do a part 2. And go back into some of that story.
Really, the prison. Prison. Like people don't realize, I think that there's been a lot of glorification of jail or something on TV. I don't know. Yeah. But
that's the thing that I'm most curious about, is that how do you are a success story post that experience, but just the very few things you've alluded to, the system that's what I tried to build an entirely new food system. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to decentralize. If there's a power over structure anywhere, I automatically am rebelling against that.
Yeah, that's me, because I totally understand.
And so to dive into that, I mean, if I knew, it just makes me sick. Knowing that this thing exists, this entity, this where millions of people are in it, both as authority figures and as prisoners, and it can't be, it's no good, none of it. Like, does there need to be discipline or whatever for law?
Yes, there needs to be a consequence, absolutely. Yeah. But the structure that they have in place now is definitely not it. If you're really trying to rehabilitate somebody, the way that prison is structured is not it. I've lost a lot of people since I've been home. A lot of women that I was there with have died because they came home and got, all of them, overdoses.
I mean, that just absolutely,
you know what I'm saying?
Like, to know that that's happening, and what can we do?
What can we do?
I don't have any. I mean, I feel powerless because I don't even know. I'm not even a part of that. I have no idea about any of that.
It's like reentry is a big thing. It's so crazy because it's often left out the conversation. They tell you that they treat you bad in jail. The police treat you bad. Get into jail. They tell you that they treat you bad when you get into jail, but they don't teach you how to cope with all this stuff. They don't teach you how to come back out here. I know a lady who did like 20 something years and they just let you out. Like, what do you do after 20 years? Like, this lady is probably depressed, probably want to go back because the people that she really cares about then died already. So she just, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's a soft spot for me. So, and I have very, very, very strong opinions about that. So we can definitely get that, because the justice system, I've seen it fail over and over and over. And by the grace of God, wholeheartedly, I knew, like, I grew up about everybody smoking crack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a crackhead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never like God has like been good to my journey, but I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
And I understand how weak moments, people are different. Everybody can't handle stuff different.
Yeah.
And so you can't give, like I was just telling my kid, I always have intimate conversations with my son. You can't give everybody the same consequence for all these things. You do this, all these things, and then but everybody goes to jail.
Right.
You can't no.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, like and then you don't tell them how to be successful when they come home. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just literally, like, when they say a system designed to see you fail, that, my dear, is the prison system.
Oh, it just absolutely kills me. It's so, when you have this, you're doing things that you can do, things you can control. I know where the food system's broken, and I know how to fix it. Not for everybody. It's not like I'm fixing it for 1 billion people. I'm fixing it for 1,500 people. But I can do it. I physically can put rubber to the road and figure out how to make a difference in that thing. That what you're describing, the most heartbreaking and frustrating part is I literally wouldn't even know what to do. I wouldn't even have an opinion on it because I've not been involved in it. I don't, whatever. And I feel convicted about that in some degree. And I also am like, okay, let's just move forward. Let's do something now then. What can we do?
Right. I mean, it's crazy because I always think about getting clearance to go back into the prison. It's kind of hard right now because of COVID, but when I was in prison, I had a garden. That was my first time having a garden. They had a garden program. They didn't really give us like the food and oh gosh, horrible. But you didn't get fresh stuff. So the garden program was a way for you to get fresh vegetables and stuff. I had strawberries, peppers, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they didn't bring. It's not like they brought in people to teach you how to do it.
Right.
They had a garden program, some space, some seeds, some plants, and you just do it.
Good luck.
You know what good luck. And that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's like the food that they even give you there is designed to see you fail. Of course you're going to be obese if they're giving you all this starch and bread every day.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of factors that, like, inside the system, I can nitpick literally now that I've grown and understand life through a whole wholeheartedly different perspective than I seen it while I was in there. I'm almost happy that I didn't see it when I was in there, because I probably would have been in trouble when I was in there, because I'm such a like stand for my cause type of person. Oh gosh, I probably would have been in there protesting the food, protesting this. So I'm almost happy that this is hindsight for me, because had I been in tune, I probably would have been, because it's like that. It's almost like, what?
Yeah.
And I didn't know neither. I had never been to jail. Shoot, I was in there like, all right, eat these noodles every day, eat this stroganoff every day with this bread. You know what I'm saying? Or these ramen noodle. Everything was, but me, I'm thinking like, I'm not going home big, so I gotta work out. You know, but I mean, it's not like they're making you, or they have a phys ed class, or they like, there's no type of structure to make you a better, you're on your own. You're on your own in there.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to eat your food and have some sort of a thing. Yeah. Something like that. My wife and you are, she's gonna flat out not even believe that I had this conversation with you today. You and her are gonna be like, so her dad, you know, of course we make all of our own food. You know, we rarely go out to eat, occasionally, but, you know, her dad and mom describe it like this. They're from Texas. And when they come up and they eat, of course, you know, for her, it's nothing. It's not like she's doing something, you know, she's doing a taco bar and they're like, how do you put all this together like this? You know, it's like, well, it's just what's left over in the fridge. Yeah. And, but they're like, the way that they always say it, and I always repeat it because they've got that deep Southern accent. They're like, it's like she puts her soul into it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you guys are going to really connect on that. But anyways,
I'm excited.
Let's you know, I don't want to keep you, but I keep thinking of other things that I want to hear more about. So one more time, everybody can find you at Snooty Foodie.
Snooty Foodie.
Instagram.
Snooty Foodie is my Instagram. Snooty Foodie is my Twitter. Snooty Foodie is my Facebook. I also have a Living Proof Chef Service Facebook too. Okay. My Instagram. My website is chefjboston.com. However, like I said, there's information up, but I'm in process of I'm relaunching. I had to do things different. I had to take some stuff off and rebrand. So
well, we'll put all that stuff in the comments, and that way everybody can connect with you, whatever. You know, and offline, just between you and me. Anything you ever need from us, anything that if you're doing events, you got stuff going on and you're like, you know, I'm looking for, I mean, last week we had, you know, the best cantaloupe that, you know, you possibly could have.
No way.
You know, because everything's super fresh and super seasonal. So we're getting the best of all the whatever. Anyways, as you go forward, anything, you know, you're getting involved in a cause or something that's near and dear to you, let us know. You're raising money for something, whatever it might be, you know.
The irony of that is I'm looking for a location to have a cooking class for kids. But with COVID, I have to do it a certain way.
Right.
And I keep finding spaces that are too small because I need space, because I have to have kids separated. And that's probably my number one right now, as far as non-business, but my heart projects. That's what I'm kind of doing right now, because I feel like kids are at a weird, like, right, the school thing and sports kind of like, they're on or off. You know, it's like there's so many kids that they just want some attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just want somebody to like, and that's who that's who I am.
Yeah.
Right? They like, oh, these kids are going to be bad. Prepare yourself. And I go in there and they like, oh, Chef Nina, we like you, girl. And I'm like, I just connect because I was a bad kid. I was that kid. You know what I mean? That wanted love. So I just try to.
Yeah. Well, wherever you're changing the world at, don't not invite me, because that's all I just need, a place to show up, and if I need to lead, I can lead. And if I show up someplace and all I need to be is a workhorse, I can be a workhorse. So,
yeah. Same here, wholeheartedly. Like if you ever need me, like I'm a jack of a lot of trades. So, definitely.
Awesome. Well,
use me.
I will. I honor your story and the place that God has in it, and the miracles that you've come through. And so I appreciate your time, of course. And I can let 6 months go by and not, I'm a 4 on the Enneagram. I don't know if you know what that is or not, the Enneagram scale. It's like a personality thing, but basically it means, I can retreat into myself and not connect with who I should be connecting with easily. And so if anything's ever happening or anything's whatever, shoot me a line. You wake up and you're thinking about something and you're, want an opinion on it, shoot me a line, whatever it might be.
Got you.
Just absolutely cherish this conversation.
I appreciate it, because one thing about it, two things for certain. Along my journey of telling my story, this is probably the one time I only cried one time.
it's
bro, they say you're healing when you don't cry, when you tell your story. And like, I realized that the only time I cried was when it came to me talking about my son, you know what I mean? And like, I can't believe that I really got through. And because the last time I definitely choked up like 8 times. Like I was trying to record it for myself. Yeah. And I was crying. So I appreciate this, because as much as it does other people justice to hear my inspiration and hear my motivation, it definitely helps me too, because I'm still every day a work in progress, healing from the inside out, Yeah.
Well, I feel like I have a new sister today. I hope you feel the same.
For sure.
And let's do it again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, JBoston, Smoothie Foodie. I can't wait. I'm ready for the whole experience. I'm going to book you for something.
Word. Good. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. We'll see you soon.
All righty. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.